is bizarrely acknowledging this as a book intended for adults to read, which boggles the mind.
I'm saying his imagination is probably better than this book. It was just hard to write a book. I'm sure he imagined a better book.
Sure.
I forgot about the cat, and that was a real turn off for me at the beginning.
Big turn on for me.
Explode it from the earth.
No,
I guess I'd rather read this book than that other orphanage book we read that was just like, here's a list of child abuses that happened.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Me Book Club. This episode, we read The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. Ooh, what a color.
What a big word in the title.
Wow, must be good.
I did not know this was YA until I was in it.
It's not. We'll get into it. It's not YA.
Okay, I just can't wait. We are Me Book Club. We read books that you guys recommend, New York Times bestsellers that maybe shouldn't be. We are your hosts. As always, I'm Sarah.
What's up, Clara Morris?
As ever, Jonna Scrabus.
And
Classy.
Sabrina.
Thank you.
Why would you
Hello.
both interrupt my name? What did I do to you?
We were just commenting on how
Sorry,
just
I had
nice, timeless
timing.
mine was. It was really
the timing was right to call Jonna, to comment on Jonna. If I waited till after, it would be weird.
Maybe you should pause longer to see if anyone wants to make a comment on how mine goes.
That
before
would
we
solve
hear
the
from you.
All right, guys. Jonna, why are we reading this book? Where'd this come from?
Well, we can be very grateful to Erin C. And I'm going to read Erin C's recommendation in full because it is so good. And I sort of regret not having Erin on the cast because they sound extremely funny. Okay, please fucking do. This is such a great start. Please fucking do The House in the Cerulean Sea. This book tries so hard to be twee and quirky, and it makes me so fucking angry. I wanted to throw this book into the Atlantic Ocean. It has that awful kind of humor that feels like a Nickelodeon laugh track should come after every line. This entire book felt like a shitty Nickelodeon show that aired in 2013. Aside from our protagonist, who wasn't so much of a protagonist, but an exhausted stereotype of a by-the-book nervous loser, most of the characters make up precocious children, the worst type of fictional character to ever exist. The children are either reading Immanuel Kant, I wish I was fucking kidding, or saying the same weird, random shit over and over again as a comedic plot device. This entire book has the energy of parents who tweet made-up, profound shit that their kids say. Your son is 3. He did not say, there are cracks in everything. That's how the light gets in. It has a mind-boggling 4.43 on Goodreads, which affirms my belief that I'm infinitely smarter and funnier than a vast majority of the Goodreads community. I totally agree, Erin. I need to hear you tear this book apart. There we go.
Oh my God.
If that
Really
doesn't
good.
sell us, whatever could. We
Wow,
had
I
to
really
read this.
did. It was a great
That was
sell.
a good recommendation.
I
Yes.
love that recommendation. Also, is anybody else suspicious that perhaps Erin C was on a Nickelodeon show in 2013 and
Interesting.
has a personal vendetta?
Is this?
I
are
wish
you
I knew more about Nickelodeon in 2013. I don't think I have any reference for that.
Is there an actress with the name Erin C that you're referring to, Sabrina?
No. No.
okay,
It just felt so personal.
okay.
That'd be great.
oh,
I'm like,
no.
Miranda Cosgrove.
Yeah.
Maybe that's who it is.
So, how did you guys consume this book? How'd you read it?
I did the audiobook. I had to sign up for Scribd, which I've done before, and then I get off in between seasons, and then I re-sign up when I have to.
Do you pay?
Because this was kind of late notice that we were doing it today.
Yeah.
Yes, we only found out a few days ago. I'm so sorry. I found a free YouTube version, and I stole it.
Well, it's not stealing if it's on YouTube.
Someone else stole it, and I reaped the rewards of that. So,
Well, that's tricky because you have to be at YouTube. You have to be on YouTube.
and I had to do that for an entire drive back from Pittsburgh. I had to
It
have
is.
my-
Oh, you have
It's
to
really
stream
annoying
that.
because you
Open.
can't close unless you have like YouTube Plus.
Right,
You have to keep YouTube open.
Yep.
Which is annoying.
Looking at nothing. Just a blurry picture.
Well, isn't that
says
how you like to
Cerulean
do it?
Sea.
Don't you just like to lay in bed and look at the wall while you do audiobook, if we recall from last episode?
Yeah, you're right.
that's
You're right.
true. I did do it in a car, so I had to keep my eyes on the road.
Unfortunately. I did audiobooks.com. I keep doing that app. I think I paid for it because I don't know how I keep getting the books for free, but this is like the third
I think you might be signed up for a monthly subscription.
Yeah, I must have done something.
Yeah.
I don't
Absolutely.
understand. It keeps saying I have a credit and I can get another book, and I'm like, okay,
How nice.
Cool.
thank you.
I double dipped on this one.
What could that
I looked at the library for it was short notice, and there were 38 holds on 37 copies. And I was like, I could get this in time. So
Yeah.
I requested it. But then I looked and I did find the YouTube. And so I started on YouTube doing the keep YouTube open thing. And then, lo and behold, my loan became available. So I
Wow.
switched to the library audiobook, which is nice because you can speed up the Libby app to × 3, whereas YouTube you can only speed up to ×2.
Yeah, I understand
And
that.
based on how slowly the audiobook narrator read it, it easily could have been sped up to 3 or 4 speed.
I can agree with this one. I was listening to this one at 2 times speed, and to be honest, I did have to skip chunks because I was behind on this one. But I don't feel I missed anything, and I'll be excited to find out if I did, but I don't think I did.
I listened to every second, and I can promise you did not miss anything.
Great,
Actually
great,
not
great,
possible.
great.
I really disliked the audiobook reader on this, and I felt like
I
maybe
did too.
he could do a lot of different cartoonish voices, so maybe that's why they used him.
Yeah.
But the main voice was a little bit, it was hard to get the character, I felt, because he was sometimes seemed confident, sometimes, which I'm sure is partly the writing, but it is an annoying main voice.
I think
Oh,
I
I
was
thought
impressed.
the little kid voices he did were so much worse than the main voice. It made me want
Yeah,
to
I agree.
The
gouge
Chauncey
my
but he
voice?
didn't-
out.
Yeah, the Chauncey voice.
The
Is
Chauncey
that the
voice was-
bellhop?
I recorded it just so that everyone can get a sense of the hell that we went through with this audiobook reader, who I think belongs in prison, to be honest. So I want you to all hear what we had to hear. It's just a 30-second clip of him doing a couple different voices. This is from the audiobook reader's website. He's proud of this.
Arthur says that we should always make time for the things we like. If we don't, we might forget how to be happy. Are you not happy, Mr. Baker? I'm perfectly happy. You're not happy being round, so you can't be perfectly happy. I'm not round. What is your job, Mr. Baker? Is it in the city? Yes, it's in the city. I love the city. All those hotels that need bellhops. It sounds like paradise.
So,
Okay,
pretty
I
bad.
think I need to defend this guy. I've been reading a lot of books to my child recently that have a lot of different characters requiring different voices, and I've got to say it's really fucking hard. It's hard to maintain. It's hard to make the distinct voices. Remember the voice you had for each character as you're going. And in that regard, I was like mad respect. He's got a wide variety of voices, and he's pretty consistent with them. I thought I was impressed in that regard.
How would Kieran react to these voices? Would he allow them to continue, or would he be like, no?
I don't know. He'd probably love them. He
this
loves
guy
dumb shit.
struck me as someone who's like, I can do like 80 accents and impressions, but what he means by that is like, I can do a lisp. I can do the thing where my L's sound a little bit weird. I can talk in a high voice. I can talk in a low voice. I can talk in a silly voice. Those are not different voices.
I still think maintaining it's impressive.
I didn't care for his portrayal of women. They all felt so stupid and sexless to me.
Well, it was a pretty sexless book, I would say.
Yeah, but you can have a sexless book without all of your characters being sexless.
Pretty funny characteristic. to pick up on, though. Sexless.
They were
Women were
sexless. They were
sexless.
completely sexless. They had never, nor will they ever have sex.
They were also all nagging shrews.
Yeah.
And it's something I want to talk about, but this is like an incel book. Like every woman in it is just trying to push this man away from ever interacting with a woman again.
Who were the women? Oh, okay. Wait, wait, you know what? God damn it. We're going too far into the book again.
Yeah, we
How
are.
did this happen?
Okay.
Tricked
All right. Fuck. We need to sum it up. Jonna.
You got it. There is a part for Sarah and there's a part for Sabrina and there's an important part for Clara, and that is listener and enjoyer.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Okay.
I assume the narrator is not in all caps, and then Sarah's part is in all caps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
After I did the donkey thing last week.
You
Or
did
2
really
weeks
good with
ago.
that, but it didn't hurt you as much as I wanted it to.
Once upon a time. Nope. Once you say once,
Yeah,
once
It's hard.
upon.
It's hard.
It
We
would
get
have worked.
I'm just sitting here without a roll listening to this.
Once upon the fluffiest cloud in the cotton candy sky, there dwelt a darling soul
Happy face emoji.
named Linus Baker, who worked in the most naughty and dirty place in the whole wide world, the department in charge of magical youth.
Sad face emoji.
One day,
Sun emoji.
something absolutely magical happens.
Rainbow emoji.
Linus receives a fancy schmancy invitation from the extremely upper management. Yep, that's really what it's called in the book. To go on a super secret, super special, and very important assignment to a real live island.
Palm tree emoji. Tequila emoji.
And the island is an orphanage
Oh, sobbing face emoji.
of 6 misfit but charming children and headmaster Arthur Parnassus. And you know he's fun because he wears colorful socks.
Cry laughing emoji.
At first, Linus felt a teensy, wiener little bit scared of all the magical cuteness. But oh my goodness, did he soon learn that these precious beings were just the same as normal kids.
Sparkles, glitter emoji, heart eyes emoji, face with arms sort of giving hug emoji.
And so Linus, who has always been such a rule follower, realizes that there's nothing wrong with these sweet little kiddos at all.
And smile with teeth emojis.
And that Mr. Funny Socks man is actually cute. Like he likes him, and Arthur likes him back. OMG!
Smile with bead of sweat emoji.
And so the kids can all keep their island home forever. Yay!
Sobbing emojis, heart emojis, non-alcoholic champagne emojis.
But hold on to your magical hats. It gets even better. The town mayor realizes that the kids are just kids, not spooky monsters. And so the town better be nice to them forever. Magic racism is solved.
Trophy emoji.
Scene.
That's the book.
Wow, really giving up all the book.
You really did.
Well, sometimes I get shit for making it too undetailed.
Wow, I've gotten
This
so
was
much
the
shit
opposite.
in the past for
Now you're gonna get shit for length.
giving the goat.
It was long.
Jonna,
Can I
I
ask-
hated my part.
I loved my part. I do have a question.
Okay.
Some of them seemed intentional, but when I said and read verbatim wiener, was that what I was to be reading, or was it to be
Absolutely.
weenie?
Absolutely.
It is funny.
Of course it
Wiener.
was supposed to be wiener. That's a funny word.
Teensy, eensy, wiener, whittle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funnier. It's good. That's a good joke, both of you. Good job.
Thank you.
All right.
I loved it.
So I think
Thank you.
we're supposed to talk about the author next, but it's hard not to go into how this is a good example of like Jonna's summary here was a good example of like what you might think would be YA, but is for adults actually.
I don't understand. This is not YA. I'm sure we'll go over it when you talk about the book, but I still believed it to be YA.
Wait, why
throughout
isn't
the
it
entire
YA?
time.
It's not a children's book, but it feels YA.
It feels
is
very
not.
YA.
It is not YA.
I can't
Is it because
imagine.
there are gay characters? You think they're not ready for
Yeah,
that?
that's what I'm like. That's the only thing that like would to me.
I thought maybe because the main character is an adult man, and usually in YA it would be from like a kid or a teen's point of view.
Steve from Blue's
That's the
Clues is an
only
adult
thing I
man.
So this
that?
book, Steve from Blue's Clues is an adult man, Sabrina said. So this
Well, that's
book
not
was
YA book.
published
That's a TV
as
show.
science fiction fantasy, and I know that it's not YA for two reasons. Number one, his debut YA novel came out a few months later, and number two, this book won an Alex Award, which is
An
when
award for books for children that
it's an award for adult books that might have special appeal to young adults. So the world is bizarrely acknowledging this as a book intended for adults to read, which boggles the mind.
it's hard to imagine an adult being like, I'm going to read a chapter of this before bed. Oh, the squid type see-through character wants to be a
I
bell.
just feel like this is a book for middle schoolers, and I will hear no argument.
like
otherwise.
remedial
I think it's mature for middle. It's immature for middle schoolers. I think it's like it's for
No,
like
it's not
9-year-olds.
immature. For
All right,
middle
well, you talk about the
schoolers?
first half of middle school.
They have Immanuel Kant in there. Like, I'm sorry, that's middle school. That's like middle school makes you feel smart. Middle school.
I feel like it is totally fine of gender bending, like YA to a magical, cozy type, like, what's her name? The famous author that
Agatha
everybody
Christie?
Agatha Christie. It's like Harry Potter meets Agatha Christie.
There's no mystery.
That's what this book is?
No, it's like a cozy magical book. It's a cozy magical.
It is
There's
that.
no mystery.
Okay, cozy magical book is a good description of it, I think.
yeah.
Plotless, I would just add, is the only other thing, and
It's not
free of any
plotless.
conflict of any kind.
Oh my gosh, these children are cast aside. They're beautiful little souls.
and they're living the best life they possibly could.
All right, guys, let's
Okay,
do the
let's
Jonna's
back it
joke.
up.
Unfortunately, Jonna's was a Jonna heavy episode. Jonna,
Fortunately.
Fortunately, I don't know what
I
you're
said
saying.
fortunately.
You said
I said
so many
fortunately.
words that were sort of half words and didn't make sense. I
Jonna's
think what
jugs.
you're trying to get us to is ba-da-ba-ba-ba, it's Jonna's jugs. So the pairing for this book, I was torn between half a glass of warm skim milk, which felt right,
So
or
weird. I actually have that right here.
okay, so that might be the official wine drink pairing. The unofficial drink pairing is I tried to think of what is something just sickly sweet that I hated from the very first sip, and I've thought about ever since. And the answer is ice wine, my friends. Ice wine. I want to introduce you to the concept of ice wine. It is when grapes are frozen on the vine and then smashed and used to make a sickly sweet, disgusting wine. A lot of local wineries will do it. And I think it is the perfect pairing for this book because it's bad and it's overly sweet and every sip is worse than the last.
Wow. That is savage.
Yeah.
Very thought out, though. So
Thank you.
I think, we
commendable.
We're,
Yeah.
this
And
is
I
good
don't
for
think we've
you.
introduced ice wine before. And it's now going to be my code for amongst the worst books I've ever read. Deserving ice wine.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
kind of don't want to live in a world where this book exists. Sabrina.
Do you think this is colored by the fact that you had to drive many hours and take many stops
I
and you were just
wonder.
like not in a good mental place when you read this book?
No. When it started, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to love this book. It's going to be one of those. I'm going to love it. And within 2 pages, I had
Oh, okay.
curdled.
Are you saying basically you liked the look of the cover and then
don't get us started.
Oh, did you want to do judge a book by its cover? Should we move into that?
Yeah, I guess.
It's not in the outline.
I can't do it because I just did the audiobook.
Oh, the
so I really can't
YouTube.
speak.
I didn't even.
I did
It didn't even
YouTube.
have a picture of the book.
Yeah,
It
it
did.
did,
Mine
but it
did.
was kind of blurry around.
All right. Well, you know what?
It's a beautiful cover.
Yeah,
I
it's a
think
good
it's
cover.
I think it's a nice cover. Let's take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back. With John is going to give us some book background, author background. BRB. And we're back. Jonna, tell us about this
Okay.
book.
So I do want to say I have, again, because I did the research, fallen into the trap of liking the author personally, and I'm trying
I
not
was
to.
about to say that you
Yeah.
still hate the book and you did the research. Usually
Yeah.
that
It's
blocks you.
hard.
It
'cause
humanizes it.
Yeah, it humanizes it. I wanted to get in there and make fun of him. I found some of his videos on Instagram, but they were just nice, and he's a nice man. So it's hard. I want you to know how hard it is for me to separate the author from the book here, but that is how much I hate this book. I can still...
That's so crazy.
Wow. I did say it's hard for me to share the same earth as this book, right? Like I'm
Yes.
struggling to survive a little bit. Okay.
Yes.
So I want to tell you a few things about this book just to get us in a mindset. The Washington Post called it a witty, wholesome fantasy that's likely to cause heart swelling. So they have now made an enemy of me. The Library Journal called it a delightful tale about chosen family and how to celebrate difference. So you can just fuck off, Library Journal. You're dead to me. And someone named David Levithan, I don't know who you are, said, "Is it possible to fall in love with someone's imagination? If so, consider me smitten." Barf. Barf, barf, barf.
It is, if that's his imagination, it's pretty lame.
No, it's not. What is wrong with you guys? This is a
Okay.
very sweet, imaginative story.
I'm giving his imagination more credit. I'm saying his imagination is probably better than this book. It was just hard to write a book.
Sure.
I'm sure he imagined a better book.
Sure. Yeah, anyone would. I think any child over the age of 6 could imagine a better story.
Oh my God. I'm enjoying this, but I am surprised at how much you hate this book, Jonna.
Yeah, like what set this apart for Jonna? Like we've read a lot of bad books. Like I'm interested to
There's
find out.
something that triggered you in this book, and I'm excited to find out what that was.
Okay.
I feel like I know.
We'll go on the journey together. It came out in 2020. It is a New York Times, USA Today, and Washington Post bestseller. I already told you it's not, it inexplicably is not a YA book. This is apparently intended for adults. A little controversy, which I want to get into. It is a fantasy novel set in a world where people can be born with unique magical traits, and then those children are unwanted or abandoned, and so they are sent to orphanages or schools where they are monitored.
So kind of like X-Men. So that's the
X-Men.
basis of
Yeah,
X-Men.
X-Men.
So, but in this case, it is similar to a story in Canada where Indigenous children who were taken from their families and placed into government-sanctioned facilities. And this review that I read continues, does the inspiration Klune took from the tragedy make The House in the Cerulean Sea a bad book? If Klune merely took inspiration from the cultural genocide of Canadian Indigenous peoples and based his novel on those ideas, I'd be inclined to say no. Many books draw from unfortunate circumstances of those throughout history. However, I draw the line based on some of his remarks surrounding his inspiration for the novel. I don't want to co-opt, a history that wasn't mine. I'm a cis white dude, so I can't ever really go through something like what those children had to go through. So I sat down and I was like, I'm just going to write it as a fantasy. This is the wrong approach to taking inspiration from a historical tragedy. Cultural genocide isn't something you can write up as a fantasy. I think I can be almost positive that no caseworker ever visited a Canadian residential school and found themselves thinking, wow, these children are thriving, as Baker did in his story. Klune's intentions did nothing short of sugarcoating and romanticizing a tragedy. Yeah. And so that sentiment is shared by many people. It's a controversial statement. A lot of people defend the book. A lot of people think that was maybe an appropriation that shouldn't have been taken.
Yeah, I read about this controversy, and I kind of think it's a big, quite honestly, I was like, I get what he said and like how you could take that as sounding bad, but I don't think he meant it that way. I didn't think he meant like, I'm going to take a genocide and make it a fantasy. It's literally all he took was like orphanages. And then nothing else was the same.
That's why I was going to say I'm surprised that it is based on something.
It's not same. I had absolutely no idea.
Right, that's what I mean.
It's such a universal concept that unwanted children, like we were just saying, X-Men, like there's a million things where magical children live in an orphanage.
Because if he didn't say that like he had read something and then he was like, I wouldn't write about orphanages or something, nobody would have ever made those connections because there's absolutely nothing in it that would make you think it is about that historical issue. And it's crazy to me that
like
this
I think
is
a big
issue.
For example, a big part of the historical issue is like the children are taken from their parents because of who they are,
right?
And
that
does not come up in this book. There's no I miss my parents in this book. There's no real mention of the parents.
Also,
if it is, it's like I didn't know them.
It was like a fancy orphanage too. It was like an orphanage that does it. And also their bad part was the government. It wasn't like, I don't know. I just think when I read about this controversy, I was just like, because I was looking for stuff. I was like, let me get some ammo against this book for us to talk about. And I was just like, oh
against
man,
this sweet little book.
I think we have plenty to talk about without this. No. That's my opinion. I don't think this is.
I feel like he's trying to elevate it by saying it's
right. Maybe it was stupid on his part, honestly, but I don't think he meant it that way, and I think to take it that way is like a really big jump.
I don't disagree. Just a little bit about TJ Klune. His name is Travis John. He's a Taurus.
I'll go by TJ.
For Taurus?
Yeah, he's a
I don't know.
I like it. It's impressive now.
He has been open about his lived experience with asexuality, queerness, and neurodiversity, and how they influence his writing. And he tries to write accurate representations of queer relationships that are not stereotypical and instead are relatable and positive. He began to write when he was 8 years old. And here's like,
who didn't?
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, come on. This 8-year-old thing pissed me off.
I think he wrote this when he was 8 years old. But here's the thing: he seems to have a really nice little Instagram presence, and he has a rescue dog named Hendrix. And he did a post.
Stop finding out about authors' dogs.
I know, this is ridiculous.
He said 6 years ago today, I met my best friend. When I heard his story, which by the way, the story is fucking heart-wrenching. I made him a promise.
He should have based his book. Said he based his book on rescue dogs.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, he could have.
I made him a promise. If he went with me, I would spend every day making sure he knew he was safe and loved. And I like to think I've kept that promise. I could go on.
I have chills.
I know.
I don't know, man. It sounds like he's using his dog for some PR. Okay?
It's his best friend.
I don't know. I just think that everyone on this call treats their pets better than he does. And we don't make a show about it. Because there's no time for that. I'm busy with my dog. Busy helping him have his best life.
So, anyway, book bad, author good, and I like what he's doing. I like the fact that he's trying to tell stories about queer relationships.
Mm-hmm. Sure, but it was just kind of at the end they sort of kissed a little bit, right?
Did they even? I just thought they just got married. I thought he walked to the bedroom.
I think
they did kiss. They did kiss.
They did. Oh, I missed. Oh, tip of the nose.
It was like, and suddenly he was being kissed.
Yeah,
it was really sweet, and it made my heart warm, and I loved that.
It made you feel something.
It did.
I did think it was a little sweet. I agree.
Wow,
I think this
really?
is really the only thing the book, the main character was like the only interesting part I thought of the book, because he's the only one who had to go through a transformation, and to see him be lonely and fall in love was nice.
I thought it was so obvious and annoying.
Exactly.
When he like delayed it and was like, I have a life. It's like, no,
Yeah, that's stupid.
You don't. You just said your sunflowers were the only thing you missed, and you have no friends or loved ones, and you hate your neighbor. Like,
Okay,
there's nothing. You don't.
He
have
has a
life.
cat. He has a cat.
Who comes
but
with
that was
him.
with him.
It's not like he has to leave the
Right.
cat behind.
Right, but you said you have no loved ones. You don't have a life. This
Okay,
cat was
that's true.
You know what
You're
I
right.
mean?
Look, I forgot about the cat, and that was a real turn off for me at the beginning.
Big turn on for me.
I was
I
like,
have
oh,
to
he's
agree with Clara, though. This guy didn't go through a transformation. He went through the most obvious, like, oh, geez, a character who's uptight and by the book makes a friend, and like, wouldn't you know it, his heart grew 10 sizes that day, and now he's a little less stuffy.
If anything,
Wow.
I would doubt the relationship, because it's like he's never even had a friend before. How does he know he's in love? How could he possibly know what love is?
He's asexual. They were gonna have an asexual relation.
It did feel like an asexual relationship, and
Again.
I wish they had
YA.
maybe gone into that more. That I've
Yeah.
not really seen that portrayed often in literature. Like, I think that would be much more interesting than whatever this was.
Yeah, you
which
don't like
was-
gay people? You'd rather no sex at all.
You can be gay and asexual, Sabrina. Let me educate you, okay?
It is.
Well,
a little,
no, what you said was you'd rather it have been asexual as opposed to what it was.
She got you.
All
She
right.
got you.
Let me educate myself.
If we're putting like adult book and a YA book, and we're making little tally marks, this is a tick in YA that there was
yeah.
no physicality whatsoever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Suddenly
like,
he was being
No
kissed.
murder, no sex.
it wasn't a complicated love story.
No
It was just
cussing.
like we're figuring out we do love each other. We're not able to say it out loud, and I went away from you, and yeah, I definitely miss you, and now we're together. It was simple, but that's why.
Well, but also just because something would be appropriate for a younger person doesn't mean it's just for a younger person.
Okay, so we should make a tick in the adult book column because there's no physicality in the book whatsoever.
No,
I'm just saying it doesn't have to be one or the other. I think it's a
I'm
great
keeping a
genre
tally, so it
bender
does.
of YA to
Let's not
cozy
affect Clara's tallies.
adult magic.
Where do I
What
put the
are
tick
the
mark?
ticks in the adult category for you? Was it when you learned that a house isn't always the place we live, it's the people that we surround ourselves with? Is that where you were like, oh, wow, that's a really cool insight I, an adult, didn't know?
No, I think I don't have to learn something for it to be for
Answer
me.
the question though. What?
No. But what
would
I'm
be-
saying is like everything. I was an adult who enjoyed the story.
adults can enjoy YA though. That doesn't mean it's not a YA. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I guess it was about, there was a lot of talk about the Antichrist, which you don't see a lot in YA.
But that also felt so kid to me. I like a magical kid. I don't, because the way it was dealt with, it wasn't dealt with any like serious way, or like there wasn't any deep diving into like
was
what
always
that meant or
precocious.
what that implied with like religion and the bigger world. There was nothing. It was just like a funny thing to be like there. It was just like a stand-in for like really naughty, sounds naughty, but which is just like
Yeah.
something kids love. Kids love things that sound bad.
The Antichrist was in a booster seat. And
Yeah.
This was a character named Lucy, short for Lucifer,
Like my
son
dog.
of the devil.
that's true.
6 years old. Also, it's in a Disenchantment, that Mac Groening show that's been around for a little bit.
Okay.
Also has a Lucy that's short for Lucifer, that is funny or funnier but similar. Harmless, says little dark things.
Yeah.
it says like, I'm going to eat your soul. And then they're like, Lucy, go back to bed. And he's like, all right, I'll eat your soul
Yeah.
tomorrow.
I'm not a big fan.
That's you!
I actually dislike the fact that it was Antichrist, that part the most, because I think that confuses the magical. Like if you're talking about like phoenixes and trolls, or I can't remember all the things that everyone was. To bring Antichrist into it is like a religious thing. So it's like a weird, to me, switch between like, are we talking about magical stuff? Are we talking about like religious undertone magic, which is, to me, a very different thing. So I did not actually like the Antichrist character. I found it distracting, and like I just kept thinking like, what does this mean for the rest of the world that there's an Antichrist child? Like,
because our main character was so affected by being like, the Antichrist child is there. It made him pass out just to learn that information.
Yeah.
It's like, so is he deeply religious? No. Like, why? Like, is there some lore in this world?
I mean, it is just odd, right? Like, I'm not deeply religious, but if I met the Antichrist, I think I would be
read it
struck
on a piece
by
of
it.
paper and passed out.
The fact that the Antichrist exists, you have to accept that like there's the Christ, and then there's like you have to have a base level of belief in Christ, in the concepts, to believe that Antichrist is a thing. It should just he should have just made a different creature, like made up something. A vamp. I don't know what it is, but something I would have preferred.
Or make the kid a tween, which is far scarier. I think that's all you need to do to make a villain in a story is like, they are 12 and they're going to look at you and say something cold and calculating about you physically that you didn't know was true. And now you know deeply inside that it's true. Instead, they made him 6. So he's just like adorable. But also he's not 6 because none of the shit he says is something a 6-year-old says or thinks.
Right.
Which, sure, maybe it's because he's the Antichrist, but then explain that he is like intellectually the age of a 15-year-old or whatever.
I think they said something about like his soul is hundreds of years old or something at some point, and I was like, is that supposed to justify it? I know. I'm also not a big fan of the like kids. It would have been fine for me if one of the kids like spoke more intelligently and there was a good explanation for it, but they all seem to be like
hyper intelligent.
It was annoying. I do find that annoying. Just like the reviewer.
I'm okay with it. They're magical people. We know. You know what? I know why I like this book so much.
Okay.
It's because it is like, it was my childhood fear.
To be
right?
magical?
Being sent to an island.
Well, my fear every night when I like checked to make sure that my windows were locked was because I thought that the superheroes were going to come and steal me away to be a part of their superhero world, because obviously I am special and they
such
needed me.
Confidence and such a misunderstanding of superheroes. They're not villains.
I didn't think they were villains. I just thought they
don't kidnap.
Well, how do they get into the life?
They all have origin
It's just
stories.
so funny because I was afraid of like murderers
What about the
or like
X-Men?
evil people getting me, but you were like, no. Who's gonna come after me? The good people, the like superheroes. I'm so special.
I'm too special. And they'll want me to be a part of their world, which is like all of these special little kids are swept away onto this island.
Did you
not
think this
to,
story
like,
would
excel? But
unite us in support of you?
I actually thought you all knew that information.
I don't remember that. It's very funny.
That was my biggest fear, and so this hit home.
Do we want to go over all the? We started talking about the characters, but I feel like we should just quickly hit them all. Like Linus Baker being the lead. We've talked about him a little bit, and I think this is the best argument for it not being a YA, because it's like you start from the adult perspective. He's like has a boring corporate job, but he's basically a CPS caseworker, but it's like inspecting orphanages of magical children is how it's.
I found his character very inconsistent. Like when he is dealing with people at work, like his manager or whatever, he's quite sniveling and like that. But then when he's dealing with his like nosy neighbor, he's like extremely confident and good at standing up for himself. It just felt like two different people.
Yeah, he's also in such a toxic workplace and there's no explanation for why he stays. At first, I thought we were in a dystopian society where you had to just work where you were assigned. But then it was like revealed that you could work anywhere, and he chooses to work somewhere where literally every woman is abusive to him.
Look, some people here have jobs where
all the women in their workplace are abusive
towards
to them.
and it's something.
Are you referring to this job, the podcast?
Okay, I do see now. Yeah, I see why people might stay.
Yeah.
Because hint of validation every couple years. But I just found that confusing. It was such a, I put it in the tick for not even YA, but like, toddler, like something I could read to a baby book.
You are going to be shocked when you have a baby what they're reading at that age.
Also, I did have a realization in the beginning when I was complaining about the audiobook reader and was saying that he made all the women sexless. Then I subsequently found out that the author himself is asexual. I didn't mean that type of sexless.
Oh, no. I don't think anyone thought you did.
Because I didn't know the information, but I thought it was just a poor reading choice. The way that he read women, they felt not the same.
You
as
wanted them
women.
to have a sexy voice like this.
What's that, Sarah?
No, I didn't.
That got away from you. That got away from you right away.
Hi, my name's Nagging Neighbor.
Hi, I'm nagging receptionist, and you can go in to see extremely upper management now.
That's a good one. That was a
really
good one.
good.
That was good. No one can follow it.
I could, but I won't.
By all means.
You don't want to turn our listeners on too much.
Honestly, I don't. Yeah. It's not
Okay,
that
I
kind of
understand.
cast.
I understand.
They already have to clean up after that.
Maybe we should do a Mean Book Club After Dark cast.
That'd be fun.
Oh my God.
Getting naughty.
I would love if it was just using those voices, but not being particularly naughty.
It's just the regular cast, but we just talk in that voice.
Yes.
Okay, maybe we will.
All right, bonus episode 3 coming at you.
We're making a lot of promises.
All right.
What other characters we have? Then we have the guy who runs the place, Arthur Parnassus, who's like
He runs
typical
the
headmaster.
orphanage.
Great
of a
name.
That
witch's
Linus
school.
Linus gets assigned to it, and it's a big deal. It's like super secret, upper management or whatever the fuck they call it. And it's very secretive, and he shows up, and Arthur Parnassus is the guy who, as Claire was saying, is in charge. And he's also gay.
And he wears brightly colored socks, so that's how you know he is cool and fun.
I do love when I see a fun sock. I'm like, this person knows how to let loose.
Not if it's the person's whole personality. It's not enough.
He was really good with the children.
Yeah.
Always suspicious.
Yeah. His whole, but he was like, I thought he was convincingly non-creepy with the children. And it seemed like he really let them come out of their shells and let them thrive.
And the reason
He was amazingly good with the children, if you can imagine it. There was no like bullying or ever any sort of competition between the children. They were always supportive of each other and a very you can do it attitude, all best friends, cuddling.
This is part of the reason why I don't think I missed anything when I skipped a few hours.
A few hours. The whole audiobook's only 12 hours.
Yeah.
It was a little unbelievable just how friendly all the kids were, considering how annoying some of them were. And
wow.
I guess it's emblematic of just how black and white, good and bad the book was.
Yeah, and he's one of those characters, like, his lips are always twitching, his eyes are always twinkling, he's always saying, like, things like, oh, my dear boy, or, like, you do you?
Dear.
He does, doesn't he? He will, won't he? It's just like, shut up. Shut
Yeah,
up.
yeah, they do. Oh my, oh dear.
Fall into
A
the
lot.
sea.
Fall into
What other characters we got? We've talked about Lucy.
I don't
Then
know.
there's
Chauncey.
You like Chauncey?
Meg
He's
has
like a
previously read
jellyfish.
this book, and she said that Chauncey reminded her of me.
Wait, Chauncey's the one.
my God.
Chauncey's the one that like messes up a lot and is always asking for more money or like tips.
Well, he wants to be a bellhop.
Chauncey's the one that sounds like, the fitting. I love the fitting. And that is something your fiance said she reminded her of you?
Well, to be clear, she read the book, so
Okay, the voice wasn't part of it.
she didn't
The
hear
voice.
that voice associated with it, which I think would make a big difference. But he was just so cute and earnest and just wanted to be a bellhop to help people.
Yeah,
like
I was fine
so
with
often
him.
is portrayed in adult books.
Yeah, again, YA.
There are children in adult books, and the children do child things.
Normally not
And
this
then
many,
the
thank
adults
God.
draw conclusions.
I feel like you guys, not you guys, somebody is conflating adult book with porn.
What?
Oh yeah, that child was having a nice time in that book. Couldn't be for adults.
I guess for me personally, I needed more than like a nice Barney story. That was just all this was.
Jonna,
was just
if
like,
you consider this a YA book, though, like I know what you write, and you're like,
I
it's
don't. I consider it a children's book.
okay, if you consider, fine. If you consider it a children's book, so like, what the fuck, child, you're talking about? But whatever. Consider it a children's book. How do you feel
Yeah.
about the book if you think that it's just a children's book?
If this was just a children's book, I think that is a fine children's book that you could read up until about 7 or 8 when you're ready to
God.
advance to something
Fuck
that
were you
has
reading at 7 or 8?
conflict. Honestly, I was reading Dean Koontz very early.
All right,
Probably
you're
a little
the
too
weirdo
early.
here then, Jonna. Dean
Yeah.
Koontz at 7? Get the fuck out of here. You're a weirdo.
I don't know if I was 7, but I do know that, for example, Flowers in the Attic was a very early read for me.
Well,
that was
that
at
one
least
got a lot of
YA.
popularity because of the TV movie.
I'm sure I
think.
didn't know about
Yeah, it
that.
might have been
I feel like
Uh,
I wouldn't want
I saw
my
the
child
movie.
reading this book because it's not a good example of story. It's like such fluff.
I don't know. I think it was
Like-
fine. I think I maybe would have really liked this when I was like 10 or something. I think I would have.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I would have.
So
What
disappointing.
about? Do you guys read Harry Potter?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff?
I'm not saying this is as good as Harry Potter, but it's like in that vein of like when I was reading a lot of like fantasy stuff and it was like fun to see new worlds and like the concept of it is like being like accept people and like people who might seem bad on their face, like you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, and it's like just some simple messages, but it was like, I don't know. Do you remember? This is actually so horrible, and I know they don't do this anymore at schools. But I remember, like 6th grade, our teacher doing the thing where they like split us in half to teach us about racism. This was a thing they used to do to teach you about racism, and that half, like the brown-eyed kids and the blue or light-eyed kids were on one side, and then she was treating
Because
us
the school
differently.
was predominantly white.
Well, it's
obviously.
fucked up. It's just a fucked up thing to do. But I remember it like blowing my mind, being like, once we figured out that like that's what she was doing, it was like really, I don't know. I always think about that though, even though
Sounds like it was maybe a good teaching moment.
no, yeah, I know. But in retrospect, now they
No,
don't do it
I'm-
anymore for obvious reasons.
You can't do that. You can't do that.
But just the idea of like being the lesson about people's difference, like those kind of simple ideas were big when I was in 6th grade to be like, because I think up till then I didn't like.
Do you guys remember The Giver? I'm just
Yeah,
going to
the
bring
giver.
up The
Yeah,
Giver.
the giver is great.
Yeah, great book. Excellent book.
That's a middle school book.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is
It's
like
about something.
just a bunch of stuff that happened. You know?
I don't know. I think that I agree, Sarah. This feels in the vein to me, especially like the first Harry Potter book. Like as an adult, I would enjoy reading that story probably. I haven't reread it as an adult, but I think I would. And once I saw a man on the subway. This was several years ago, but he was a businessman and he was reading a book, and I was like, this man's having the best time of his life. What's he reading? And it was the first Harry Potter book. Similarly, I think you can enjoy this book as an adult, but sure, if you're
A Dean Koontz
elder child.
7-year-old, you might not be. This might not be for you.
You know what? I think if you're an adult that like you like to go into an office and just see a string of motivational posters along the wall, like the Hang in There Cat, and you could just spend all day looking at those posters, the eagle flying, a little lion, then I think this book is perfect for you. You will love it.
I do have a theory, and I
Okay.
think it's a very maybe obvious theory for why this book has such high ratings, because it does. It does have like very high ratings on Goodreads, as as our fan who recommended it pointed out. And I think it's because it came out in 2020 and it was like depressed pandemic era, and that people like
That certainly
just
helped.
wanted to read. It just felt like something people would read that like made them forget about all that and feel positive about the
gentle.
world. I really don't. I think if it came out now, I don't think it would get as high ratings. I definitely don't. I think that affected it.
I hope not.
a
I
lot.
hope, if nothing else, the pandemic hardened us.
I think also, like, anytime, you know, like maybe this is why Meg liked it so much, because she sees so many bad things.
That's
with
true.
Kids, you
That's
know?
true.
And it's just like a nice story about kids succeeding against odds.
Knowing Meg likes it makes it harder for me to want to explode it from the earth.
No,
I guess I'd rather read this book than that other orphanage book we read that was just like, here's a list of child abuses that happened. Like, I didn't
well
care for
written.
that. So I guess I should consider that this was a more pleasant read.
Yeah.
I hate to leave it on that note, but let's take a quick commercial break. Come back, maybe do some good reads, some hate rates, maybe an answer as the author, and let's get away from this book. Okay, and we're back. Wow, I've never gotten to do that before. Feels good. So we're going to do a quick answer as the author. I had one, which is, what is your favorite snack while you're writing? And I just want to let you all know it's tea and granola, in case that wasn't the obvious answer for the simplest little book I've ever read. Tea and granola. But the other question was for the author, TJ.
Yes?
TJ, which character from this book would you like to follow and do another book about?
They're all so well developed that they could all carry a book for sure. I think the sprite who like owns the island and then just so it's a little unclear in what I wrote because it's her island, so it seems like in this world sprites own the land, and she's sort of hiding from the government. She's unregistered, and sort of I had a little narrative in there where she was afraid of the orphanage people, and then she came around and loves them and helps them for free for some reason. And I'd love to do that as a book and just tackle, go sort of like a prequel with her.
Okay, that's
because it doesn't make sense. I would love to figure it out. It doesn't make sense that she was afraid of them, but she also let them on her island that she's in charge of. It doesn't make sense, and I think a book would figure it out.
Well, I'd love to not read more from you. TJ.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Which character would you like to follow more? Who do we want to see more from?
Well, obviously, Chauncey. And I'm talking like him because I love Chauncey. And I think that I would just love to watch him build up his bell-hopping skills. And so Chauncey would start off small, but then go to a 5-star hotel.
Thank you. And TJ, are you there?
yes.
I just wanted to know, who do you think deserves their own spin-off?
I think it's obvious. I think gotta write a book about the Antichrist, teenage years, meeting Christ, falling in love. It's gotta be it.
With Christ?
Incredible. So thank you all for participating. There was one winner. It is Sabrina.
Yes!
The correct answer.
A whole book?
is-
That character had...
I want
pissed
to
'cause I
write
lost.
a bunch of shorter books starring Chauncey. A bunch
No fucking.
of shorter
Are you
books
kidding me?
starring Chauncey, where he's the manager of a hotel, the bellhop, and he'll also solve mysteries like who stole the diamond necklace from the woman in room 617.
My God, that is nearly what I
Yeah,
said.
it is. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
However, the
horrifying.
character doesn't have the skills to solve the mystery. If anything, he's going to end up locked in a closet in that room.
I do like it as a cozy mystery where the lead detective can never get past step 1.
We have to go to the scene of the crime.
Cozy.
So yeah. What about? Do we have any Goodreads, Sarah?
Yeah, let's do a few Goodreads. The first is from Regan. She says, "OMFG, this was so cute. I am dying." 5 stars. Loved it, simple to the point. This is from Jessica. Jessica says, "I have actively avoided this book. Even with all the hype it's gotten over the past year and a half, the story just didn't interest me in the slightest. But then I read TJ's Under the Whispering Door, and it broke me. So here I am, hoping to have a similar experience, and I did. Gosh, there are so many little nuggets of wisdom and truth embedded in this. There are also moments of pure happiness and love. I can't really add much to the thousands of reviews that have been posted for this book, but for me personally, the story is wonderfully life-affirming and gives me hope and humanity that I desperately need. 5 stars. Wow, she needs hope and humanity.
Hope and humanity, it was all magic, people. No, one human was nice at the end.
Hey, yeah, it was one human, but hey, they. I guess I feel like we didn't talk about what happened now that we're going through these.
Oh.
But he's writing reviews for them. He writes pretty positive reviews for the orphanage in his reports or whatever. Then he leaves.
Obviously. It's obviously a good orphanage.
And then
there's no fucking way it's getting shut down.
He goes back to his job and he steals some files. Can somebody else explain this?
Well, I think my understanding was that he's going back to his old life.
Yeah.
And he wrote the final reports. He's going back to his old life, and a bunch of people there are like, "I thought you got canned." And he's like, "No, I was on a special assignment." And then some lady in charge of his job was like, "You don't deserve a promotion." He was like, "Okay, well, that's fine. I don't want one." And then he realized all his sunflowers were dead, and it just wasn't as beautiful at home, and his neighbor was still a rancid bitch. And so then he was like, "Oh my God, I was so happy at the house in the Cerulean Sea with my Phoenix love man, Arthur Parnassus."
Was also a twist
and
we didn't talk about.
Oh, yeah, he
yeah,
was a Phoenix.
Phoenix.
That's fine. That's all.
Doesn't
That's
matter.
all.
It
That's
doesn't
all. That's all.
matter.
And so then he was like, I'm gonna strong recommend to the extremely upper management, which, by the way, was something I liked that it was called. I know that the summary shitted on it, but
Yeah, the impartial summary shat, and that's not anyone's opinion. That was just the summary. That's what popped out.
But then he recommends that it be a house and not an orphanage because no one is coming there to adopt. And then they are like, "Yeah, we agree." Also, oh my God, this was a cool twist. The former person who had been there scoping things out tried to romantically trick Arthur Parnassus and was like, "Oh, I didn't know that the magicals could be in love." And so he was an evil prick who then locked Arthur Parnassus in a basement. There's all these etchings on the wall.
I think
Arthur.
I think maybe we're conflating two things. I think when
No, it's
Arthur,
the same.
Arthur was a kid,
Yeah.
he was locked in there by his orphanage
right.
master.
You're right.
He wasn't locked
Which is
in.
why he cares about orphanage
I was
kids.
listening on 3 times speed, but
Yeah, that'll get you.
I liked my version where it was his fake lover locked him in a basement.
Was there not something with him stealing files and then leaking information?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. So I was getting to that, but then I realized there was another thing that we forgot, which was there was scandal beforehand. So the last guy, though, was now in extremely upper management, and so they were like, "This guy, fuck him." But they granted the house status to the house in the Cerulean Sea, and then what's his name, Linus, was like, "I'm happy there. I'm going to go live there, but first I'm going to steal all the files on this house, and so that no one will ever touch us or bother us ever again."
Not a bulletproof plan.
I guess they don't have computers. They don't have computers in this world. Where is this? What country are we in? We don't know. It doesn't matter.
I don't know.
What is the writing technique where you wrap everything up so completely that there's not a hint of like doubt or
Good writing?
wonderment.
Not setting up for a sequel.
No
sequel.
Neat little package.
Uh-huh.
With a bow tied
Are
with
you
a
looking
bow.
for like
Something that.
there's a term you're looking for or something?
No, there should be. I think there should.
Saccharin.
When if you just say,
Twee was great when Erin used twee. I love that.
Should we do our hate rates?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Denouement.
No. Okay. Hate rates.
Denouement. I think that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's it. There was no word. It was just me trying to make further fun.
I thought
of-
Jana was setting us up to say she was going to say that really mean, but she didn't have it.
I didn't get there. The book sucked the intelligence and wit out of my brain.
I
need
do
to
worry that
rebuild
we are
it.
doing that with the podcast. We're worsening our brains.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, my hate rate is a 3 out of 5, which is really high. I didn't like the book, but it didn't hurt me or cause me to have nightmares or upset me like the other orphanage book. I didn't get nightmares from the other orphanage book, but I also didn't want to read it before bed and stuff. So it was annoying. It was kind of long. Not good, but not offensive and not horror. So 3 out of 5.
0 out of 5. It was offensive. It offended me as a human being. It offends me that this was written, that people like it, that it is.
We've read so many bad books that you've given 5 out of 5.
It's crazy.
To.
It's crazy.
I don't understand
I love it,
the
though.
difference.
I love it.
Yeah, encourage it.
It made me so mad. I'm just so angry. That's how I leave this book, with so much anger.
I feel like we didn't even find the pressure point with you. I don't think we actually found it.
I mean, all I can say is that my least favorite movie in the world, well, other than The Whale, is the movie 500 Days of Summer. And this made me feel similar ways, sort of, if that explains
Like a
it.
manic pixie lead character? Or I guess the
Linus
orphan is the orphan guy, the manic pixie orphanage running boy, because he was kind of perfect, I guess.
Yeah. Everything was just too perfect. I was supposed to learn some sort of moral lesson that, like, anyone who's ever watched a single episode of Winnie the Pooh or like, this book was just the equivalent of Live, Laugh, Love to me. over and over and over again.
Fair.
For 12 hours.
Fair.
So I think what I have my thoughts on why Jonna hated it so much.
Yeah.
And I think
Help me.
it's a little bit of nature, a little bit of nurture here.
Okay.
I think you were not in a great environment to like it. You were rushed. You had to use technology. You had to open YouTube. You had to keep it open. You hate that. You had to be in a car for a lot longer than you wanted to. Admittedly, the reading really was putting me off for quite some time. And I think the Chauncey voice was maybe a little reminiscent of Willow's voice, which made you miss Willow.
Wow.
It made you miss Willow, but also like be like upset because it isn't actually Willow's voice. And so then it was just this like,
Jonna's
weird
blushing. She's turning a
alternate
little red, I
universe
think, with
Willow
rage.
voice.
Killing me.
And so then
It's
it made
just that
you
it's
hate it.
nothing like Willow's
Do Willow's voice. Do it.
Okay.
It's hard on the spot.
It's hard. No, I can do it. It's like, Willow, do you want to go outside for a walk? Yes.
Oh, it's a lisp. Okay,
Willow's
I
voice.
think it's
The
a
lisp.
fair.
It's a lisp, but it's nothing like Chauncey's voice.
It's a lisp. It's a fair. I think it's a fair criticism.
Chauncey has a list.
It's a fair criticism.
But part of Willow's voice is that he's always sort of negative about everything, even if it's something happy like a walk. He
You
says,
just
like,
had him say, yes, I do want to go on a walk.
yeah, but he says it like, yes.
oh no, it's getting even more like Johnson.
Sound more and more like Chauncey's voice to everyone.
Okay, well, it's me doing the Chauncey voice and me doing the Willow voice. So it's obviously going to be similar. It's the same base voice.
Well,
We've heard a
we
lot
all
of people
heard
do
the Chauncey
Chauncey.
voice.
Yeah.
We heard the audiobook
I
do
wasn't
it.
sure.
Sabrina did it for a long
I
time.
thought Sabrina was being mean, but I think she might just be right.
and to be clear, it's not the exact same voice, but I think it's enough to like invoke that, make you miss the dog, and then make you get angry.
Sabrina, do you have a rating?
My rating is a 4. I give it a 4. I thought it 3.9. I thought it was enjoyable. I liked it. The end genuinely made me happy. I loved that they got together. It was cute. Part of what put me off so much is the points that are taken away is definitely because of the audiobook reader. Did not like. And when I started the book, I'm heteronormative. I thought the first female character that we would meet, other than the old shrew neighbor, when he meets the sprite and he comes into the town, I thought, oh, surely this is the love interest.
Wait, he was already a gay, though.
He had already said he was gay 3 times.
He was already a gay.
Okay. Well, listen, there was not a lot of time to read this book before the recording.
Were you hoping he would convert back to being straight?
Well, like, what did he say that made him gay?
The old
He said he was gay.
The old lady was like trying to set him up with her grandson.
I
and
thought maybe he
that,
just didn't
someone
like.
At work said something snarky about, like, we knew you weren't a ladies' man, and he was like, yeah, I never have been, and stuff like that. It was clear he was gay. It was out early.
Anyway, it took me a long time to discover his sexuality.
I'm just kidding.
So anyway, I really hated how the women were portrayed. And so that loses the points. And then the other loss of the 0.1 extra is because I was super excited when I found it on YouTube and saw that it was a 6-hour book. But that was just part 1. And there was a second 6-hour part. So 12 hours is still a very good book amount. But when you think you're getting 6.
Yeah. Oof, that hurts.
Yep, sure.
All right.
When did you find out? Like when the 6 hours ended and it was like, see us in part 2?
It wasn't quite that long into it, but it was like 4 hours into it. Because
that's hard.
I accidentally exited YouTube and then had to get back in. And I was like, oh, that's weird. It says I haven't listened at all. And then I was like, oh, that's just a different video. Oh, that's part 2.
Yeah. That happened to me too.
Oof.
Not a lot of service through the Pennsylvania mountains.
Yeah. All right, I'll just do this quick. Overall, this book was boring and slow for me.
Those are good points.
But I had to fast forward through a bunch of it because I didn't have enough time. But I do think I would have liked this as a kid. I refuse to classify it as anything other than YA. Really, the biggest downside I thought was just like there wasn't enough conflict, and I didn't like bringing the Antichrist up, and then there was no real like scary or dark anything with it. Like it was not really explored, and that bothered me. So I'm gonna take a point off for that. But other than that, I think it was pretty good, pretty fine. Maybe not a very funny book, but maybe you'd find it amusing as a middle schooler. So I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5.
Wow, nice.
Wow. Put that on the book jacket. Not funny, but maybe you'd find it amusing.
That's really
As a kid.
As a young middle schooler. Do you ladies mind if I start the hate read?
Okay, go ahead.
Sure. I wonder who it's going to be.
Great. So it's everyone.
Wow.
Oh, what the fuck?
It's Sarah for defending the book so ardently when it is becoming increasingly clear. I don't even know how much she listened to. Okay. It is Clara for not standing by me in how much I hated the book. I know part of you inside must hate it as much as I do, and you're not letting yourself express it, and I don't know why. And Sabrina for being an adamant defender of the book, giving it such a high rating. I will say I did feel very seen when you explained why I hated the book, actually, and it made me happy. The only person that's not really the little fucker of the cast is Meg, and the fact that she liked it so much, it does make me wonder if I'm wrong.
Oh, yeah. Why are we even bringing Meg into this?
It makes me question.
It's insane that you can question it after how strongly you have expressed yourself. I
feel very strongly. I want to search myself a little bit and just see, if I can live on the same earth as the book after all.
Yeah.
That's all.
I don't think you can vote for all of us.
Okay, fine. It's Sarah.
Wow. All right.
Wow. I have a vote. It's Clara.
The fuck?
Honestly, you were so good, the whole cast, except the very start when you interrupted me when I was introducing myself, and then laughed about it. Didn't even apologize. And so, John and I were on opposite sides of the book, but I felt like, she really defended her position.
Thank you.
And I respect that.
So there's nothing
interrupting me.
All right. One interruption. Jonna also interrupted you.
You just interrupted me to say that.
Well, I'm pissed now.
All right.
Why would I let you have your say?
Jonna was responding to your interruption, so she's not as
mine's gonna feel retaliatory, but it's Sabrina. But here's why. Okay. So Sarah didn't read the book, we've got that, but she also didn't have a strong opinion that was ridiculous.
She rated it higher than I did, just to be clear.
Okay, but throughout the cast, she wasn't as annoying to me.
As though that's an unbiased measure.
Because Sabrina, I'm not sure how much of the book you actually read because you've made some gigantic errors in your recall.
Yes.
His adult lover locked him in a room. It was like, no, it was when he was a child in a bad orphanage. Yeah. And there was another one that's escaping me. Oh, you didn't know he was gay?
Yeah. I found out.
So to have retained so little of what happened, but to fight for the book so strongly, it creates an irritant. So it's Sabrina.
Sure.
Obviously, I recognize it'd be so cute if I voted for Jonna, because then we would all together be little fucker of the cast. But like, it's not. I'm sure you could think of it. It's not Jonna, because she was crazy this cast, and I really enjoyed it. No problems with it at all. But I'm going to stick with what my initial reaction was, is the +1 for voting for Sabrina, because she's done this before, but it's so funny that the gay member of our cast has no gaydar, and that's in books, when reading books on characters, and that's so funny.
It's not even gaydar, he said it.
You're right. It's just so funny. So it's Sabrina for me, which makes Sabrina a little fucker of the cast. Congratulations.
Damn.
Congratulations.
And Sabrina, let me clarify. When I say annoying to me, I enjoy you as a person.
Wow.
She's crying.
No. Listen, it was not obvious, despite him saying he wasn't a ladies' man, etc.
There's another book where you did this, where you were didn't know a character was gay.
Was it the Q Train one?
It was something really funny. It was like, what?
These two ladies are such good friends. Okay. I will say it was certainly a fun book pick, so thank you, Erin.
Right.
Even though I really hated it.
Our next book, though, Supermarket by Logic, with special guest Joey Price.
Very excited. Very excited to have Joey on the cast all the way from San Diego, California.
Closer to me, guys. Love
Sure.
it. Might just drive down, record with him.
Ooh, how far is it?
It's 2 hours. I'm not going to do that.
Maybe he'll come to you.
Yeah, maybe. We are Mean Book Club on all the socials. As always, become a patron of the Mean Arts. Please join our Patreon. You get bonus episodes. You get emailed photos and other things that Jonna does that I'm unaware of, but I know she does things. Yeah. All right, cool.
She sounds
Yeah. So we'll see you guys next step. All right.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Miss you already. See you soon.